At the office?
I am. I saw a patient this morning.
How'd it go?
Good. I thought I was going to have time to go back home, but some people are talkers.
Yeah, that's something we should talk about
We
because
should. That's a great idea.
that's something I just saw a post, and I forget which group it is, but I think it was the chiropractic assistance group or something like that. As we've talked about before, I think there's this shift happening that is more about mental wellness and you guys being a therapist sometimes.
I talk about being a therapist all the time.
Here's so after 20 plus on sites in the last year, it's been a year on this run, and I just did one in Arizona for a couple days. There's a couple things that are just standard in every practice that I see. One is whether it's soft wave, shock wave, EMTT, red light, something else that helps with inflammation. I would say 1 out of 3 or at least 1 out of 4 patients that you guys see, after you adjust them, hey, there's also this thing going on with my wrist or my thing, or like something extremity wise, right? Do you see that in your own clinic? Is it just like, there's also this today, doc?
You know what's interesting? That was not the conversation that we just had. That does happen. But speaking of mental health and stress and inflammation, that conversation literally just came up with my patient, where she actually just lost her job and she has like a side job. She is a therapist. She's a mental health therapist for addiction. And she just found out like with 10 days notice that her company was closing. But anyway, she was doing some online counseling and whatever. I was like, well, that's good. You have an online gig. Maybe it'll, get less stress out of your, get stress out of your life. Because she's talking about how stressed she is. She's like, yeah. And I was like, and that'll be good for you, dude, because, even mental stress can contribute to inflammation on our body.
Yeah.
Right. So you can't separate the mental and the physical, as we all know in chiropractic land.
But it's not billable, at least unless you're doing,
not as a chiropractor. That's true. You're
right.
absolutely right.
So, I think we have this future coming up where we're going to have to figure that out. And now on the cash patient side, you can figure that out. On the insurance side, that's going to be a hard press, obviously, for scope and stuff like that. But
we need to change our scope.
Yeah, something, but there is.
Don't bring out the pitchforks.
Yeah, I know, right? But that was one of the common trends that I've seen this last year is that so my argument for everyone out there is I do think that everyone needs one, supplement, if you will, to your practice besides the adjustment. And I think the waves, I think the red light, I think all those things help, we know. And that's great, but your people are asking for it. It's just insane how much more they're asking for help with other things. And I say this with love. Most docs are doing what I call the I love you and I serve you, so let me take care of that for you, and then not billing it for themselves. And they're devaluing and belittling the extra work that they do. So if they do an extremity adjustment, they just include that in, and it's like, and then the inmates start running the asylum. And what I see is the patients start asking the next time they came in, can you do that thing you did on my feet last time? Or can you do that thing? Can you get this shoulder again, this thing here? Now, and it's just funny to watch how the patient values what you did previously, and now they're asking for it. And now you've either, I say, devalued or belittled what you did without having a plan or a program. This goes back to what we were talking about with your having your plan that you customize everything for. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's about establishing value from the get-go, because I'll admit that I include things like extremity and spinal adjustments in a single visit for a care plan price. But in that care plan agreement, I explicitly let them know the value of each individual service, because it's in my, which hardly ever happens, but in my cancellation policy, it lays out the cost of every single thing that's possible that you could get in a care plan.
So it's in the tool shed. It's in the tool shed, and they can see and they value it. Then I like that.
And sometimes you remind them of it. You let them know, listen, I can touch your body 5 times and charge you 5 different things for it.
I guess this is my biggest thing is like, how do we move away from, it's this fine line of love and service and therapy, and not to use that not to bridge that to mental wellness, but it's very similar to massage in that way. And and this is the line I always use, is the inmate, and that is the common thread. Okay, so number one, patients telling you how to adjust them, or can you do that again? And to me, I'm looking at it, my Fred Barge comes out and goes, well, I'm the doctor, right? Like, why are you telling me what to do? But I get the fear mindset of like, well,
patients also know what they like and what they feel
okay,
helps them.
Okay. I agree. I get that.
If they're going to say 85% of a diagnosis comes from what somebody tells you, then who is the doctor? Doctor, be thyself. I mean, let's respect that too, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And then also let's think about this. I mean, if we're going to look at it from an insurance point of view, a billing insurance point of view, if you will, which I think a lot of the lens of finance goes through when it comes to medicine or healthcare, if you will. There are certain parameters that fit into certain billings. Does that make sense? Some are service-based and some are time-based. And even in those time-based or even those service, there's certain levels of expectation that would be included in that. And I think that some level of dare I say, counseling is probably included in some of those service codes. It's like an adjustment. You can't, some insurance companies won't cover a full-on exam and an adjustment on the same day because they expect that there's some level of an exam happening with every single adjustment.
Yeah. Well, there should be.
Right, but they won't, say you do an hour-long exam and then you adjust them.
Yeah.
And they won't pay for that hour-long exam. They'll just pay for the adjustment.
Well, the other trend comes back to the inmates running the asylum. So this is Dr. Cameron asked on my Facebook post, and I answered today in an email, and I want to jam on this. Is the same. It's just a thread.
What was your post?
It was just about, I think I've been to more offices than anyone I know. I mean, that's what and that's what someone started telling me, Dr. Joe, he goes, you've been over at 20 offices. What are they doing differently? And that's what people want to know. But one of the biggest questions is, what's the biggest operational deficiency I've seen? And it's hands down, I don't agree even with my dad. My dad would say, well, the average clinic will probably have 10 to 15% no-shows, reschedules, cancellations. And I think in this day and age, with all the automations, the technology that we have, but more importantly, I think this comes back to the baseline of the foundation of the plan and the program that people are on, and the commitment. The commitment architecture is what what stung out for me is, again, the inmates are running the asylum and a lot of these practices. So none of you are should be going, oh, that's me. It's everyone else. Everyone is. So the math that I had was about $66,000 a year that I used calculations based on every clinic that I was in, that they're losing to no-shows, reschedules, last-minute no-shows, all this kind of stuff. And I mean,
bill for it.
At the end of the day, the universal thing, when I asked, are we charging their cards on file? The answer has been, no, we're not.
Everybody has an agreement of misappointments day one. And it says even on day one, this agreement exists in perpetuity.
So I love you for that, dude. You have to have a standard of.
Because then people just don't respect you.
It's also respecting themselves. Yeah.
If you don't respect your time, they don't respect your time.
So, I think that's gotta be, it doesn't have to be. Now, when you come from your agreement, it's, you also come up really catchy names and stuff. It makes it fun for them.
Meaningful. You're
not coming from a place of DMV government, you're right. It doesn't have that energy. That's what I'm not feeling from that. Right. So how do you keep it? Because here's the fear mindset is, I'm going to lose people if I charge them for missing their appointments. My argument is, then you're losing the right people. The reality is, there are people in your practices that are costing you money and you're paying to see them, So this goes back to that pay as you go mentality. I think that's the last thing I bridge this together. It all comes back down to, dude, if you're in a pay as you go relationship, it ain't serving either one. It's not serving them. The other biggest trend that I found was when it came to wellness care. And I had this conversation with multiple patients over the last year because there was a common thing. I'm doing video content. So how long you been working with Doc? Oh, it's been 3 to 4 years. What'd you originally come in on? Oh, it was this. And then life happens, which is great for business. There's more stuff to keep working on, but they all say universally, yeah, life just got in the way and then things happened. So I'm back. And my question is, well, if the doctor created a program that basically didn't allow you to leave, would you? And the universal answer from everyone was, yeah, I need to be, they're saying, I need to be helped. The help is not just, I need to be held accountable for my health. And I know that coming in here, universally, same things we hear all the time. This keeps me well. You're hearing them say, I know this helps my immune system. I know this is more, they get it, but they're stupid humans like we all are. And I think we let the inmates run the asylum. We let them, as my dad would say, let them wiggle out. And so that goes back down to this pay-as-you-go mentality. I think this pay-as-you-go mentality has to be fucking removed from this profession. That's my universal thing, right? I think it just does not. At the end of the day, if you look at the commitment to each other as human beings, I serve you. I think the argument would be, if I keep if I don't have you in a program. Now, the program doesn't have to be every week, although you ask every chiropractor, what do you do with your children? What do you do with yourself normally, right? It's once a week. And that's what most chiropractors would say. I feel we're letting people, I think we're letting them down by doing a pay-as-you-go mentality. I really do.
Yeah. Again, I think it's all about how you approach it initially. I mean, Dan Bai would be the one to say it's that whole day one, day two, set up expectation scenario. And of course, how you follow up with additional care planning. But I think there is a point at which, like, when you are in that wellness, like me, when I get people to a certain point, like I do bill them on the monthly, but we have an agreement on how often they come in. I do pay, like, I don't bill it every single time. I do it I bill on a monthly basis for people, but I think that there's also more flexibility in wellness as well.
I mean, look, yes. What should that standard be in wellness then, though? Because that's a good
question. And the other thing is that we have to consider is that we're still a consumer industry, right? I even remind people of that when they go to the medical doctor. I'm like, dude, you're a consumer. Don't forget that. Yeah. Right. So, sustaining customer service and things like that. It's not always just what they know. Sometimes life does get in the way. Sometimes people lose their jobs or whatever. They can't afford gas because it suddenly went to $7 a gallon.
Yeah.
So I mean, I hear everything that you're saying. I really do. I think that in the end, it really comes down to how you structure everything from the get-go and how you establish your authority from the get-go and the accountability of financial consequences when people don't respect my authority.
It's just a lot. I just, again, being the outsider and insider that's coming in and looking, and the last couple of rounds of me being on site, I've really tried to put my private equity brain on and look at it from that perspective of what's your plan for an exit. And as we're heading into this territory where, you guys are going to be bought out by organizations that are evil. I mean, that's what we would all consider them to be, and they're going to maybe destroy chiropractic. So there's that thing to think about down the road. Did I enable this? Did I create this? But also, I've had those conversations with my docs that I'm like, dude, if you had a $6 million offer for your practice, which is coming. I mean, it's here. It's already here. The 5X, 6X, 9X multipliers are here. And the fact that private equity is just going to buy out people to say, get the fuck out of here. Like, we just want, we're not buying you in your clinic. We're buying you to go away. Which, that was one of the reasons I actually created, behind the scenes, I never really shared a story. When we were creating Katana in my EHR, my theory was, well, maybe ChiroTouch will just buy us to go the fuck away. No, they didn't do that but even being one of my worst public failures, I still made multiple millions on it.
I wondered what happened to Katana.
What happened to it was jackasses that I gave up my own equity to be part of the team only knew one thing and one thing only, and that was their coaches. And so they just ended up being coaches, and they were coaching me and Frank Jew, and it was just a clusterfuck. And then there was the evolution of technology and stuff like that. We were still so ahead of the time for what we were building. And I got people today that are like, man, I wish my AHR could still do what that, the one thing that you guys built was awesome. Well, I think I'm done with being on the road for a long time, and I'm happy with that. So
being on the road is exhausting.
It's,
it's not glamorous.
I think they trap you in the airport. My dad's always had that theory that they run the airport industry so you can get trapped there and you can spend more money. And it seems to work out law of average wise based on the amount of time. I mean, you travel a lot. The law of averages of getting stuck, delayed or whatever are, 30% now, I think the data
Yeah, but
is.
if you just hang out in the club, it's like no big deal.
Then you're drinking shit, you're eating shit. So I'm
Juice too.
Yeah. What do you got cooking this weekend?
What I have cooking every weekend.
You're gonna go look at some antiques?
No,
estate sales?
last week I said I was gonna move a bunch of rocks, and I did not do that. I moved some trees instead.
Who's this guest that we're gonna have? Let's look her up.
Oh, should we give her name, or should we let everybody live in suspense? No, let's talk about her. Her name is Chris Eaton. No, her name is Chris Welsh. Her maiden name was Eaton. Her dad is she has a legacy practice in Kennesaw, Georgia here. And
wait, that's not who we was talking to after our show last week, was that?
Yeah,
That's Chris. So is that Welsh's kid?
No, that's Welsh's daughter-in-law.
Okay. All right.
She's married to the Welsh's son, who's the twin to the Welsh's daughter, who's a chiropractor.
Got it. Okay.
At the Welsh's clinic.
And she wrote a book?
She did, but not about chiropractic.
What's it about?
About corruption in a small town and good old boy clubs and Nazi.
Have you read it?
No, I haven't read it. She has been dripping. She's been dripping the chapters.
Okay. All right.
On her Facebook. But I kind of lived it with her because I was, privy to her life experience at being her friend during the book. I mean, the book is quote fiction, but it's really nonfictions with the names changed.
Yeah. Well,
and it's just,
are we going to talk about Nazis next week? That'll be cool.
Well, that or they're white supremacists or all the above. I don't really know. It's a long story, which is why she wrote a book about it. She ended up leaving. I mean, she sold a building. She moved her practice. It was a big.
All right. This will be a good interview. I'm excited.
Let me double check my calendar here to make sure it is next week that it's her. Because I feel like I put it. She told me. Actually, let me look at my text messages with her. What are you going to do this weekend?
I got to clean up when I go on the road. I have to move things. So today is going to be a roller skate day, back to backs for until the end of the day, whenever that ends.
Don't break your wrist.
Right. Well, I mean, I can always talk to the chiro about fixing it. So
no, the body heals itself.
Well,
okay.
Dude.
So the second week of May, she said she could do it. So it'll be May 8th.
All right. So we have guests coming up, and you're loving this company still. That you want to give a shout out to that company,
dude. So seriously, when you said what you said about Katana and how it was so in front of itself at the time, I actually feel that this company may actually be doing what you had striven to do.
Yeah. Well, let's get them on for an interview.
I think you would just like him too. He's so cool.
Let's get them on.
A lot of cool people. There's a lot of cool IT people out there.
There are. Let's get him on for an interview. Well,
okay, I'll talk to him about it.
Hey guys, are you letting the inmates run the asylum? Maybe they should be. Maybe they shouldn't be. We explored that today.
Collaboration. Aren't we also inmates?
We should be
also inmates in the asylum?
You nailed it. You nailed it. Well, I look forward to interviews. I'm looking forward to some. The sun is out. It's getting warm. It's feeling nice. It's that time of year where people get happy again. So I like that. Got the sun. Here comes the sun. Hey, thanks for jamming with us today. It's time to hustle and bustle though for me. I will jam with you guys later. Thanks so much, Melba.
Hasta luego.
Bye.